What you doing? I'm the AC, and this is another Otaku News Reviews, and this time I am reviewing the original English light novel, A Tapestry Ablaze, Volume 1, Odyssey, or The Journey to Take a Shower. Not a good joke, but if you read all the way to the end, it makes sense, and I thought it was amusing. Anyways, it is written by Timid, and the art is by Ren. Now, this takes place in, mystic reimagining of the American South, as the back states, and it takes place in 1976. And I will say already, Timid either grew up in the South or just is a big fan of like Southern literature or movies or stuff like that, because reading this, I kind of had like PTSD of when I lived in the South and growing up watching all those like Southern movies, and I was like, ugh. The dialogue, the setting, all this is more of a realistic kind of Southern thing, more of a Southern drawl, something I've spent years trying to get rid of, and it's not that like over exaggerated kind of speaking and accent and whatever that you see in like movies and stuff. So it's very realistic in here, just to say. But the other thing is, it's not a setting I would ever expect to be in an original English light novel with this mystic reimagining of the South, the American South. What, almost 40 years ago, or maybe over 40 years ago, with magic and stuff like that. It was a surprise, especially since I love this book. It was great, but there is so much to do with this that just caught me off guard, and I just really enjoyed it. So let me actually, get into what it is. So, like I said, reimagining the South and their magic. Now, one thing I really enjoyed, and usually is kind of, I don't know, not on par with my usual thoughts and stuff, it doesn't really ever explain the magic system. It kind of throws out some, names of magic and types of magic out there, but it doesn't really explain the system, and it's great because there's enough in here to piece it all together yourself. They talk about it a lot, but they don't ever explain it. And if you've read anything with any kind of magic, it's easy to put together. If you haven't ever read anything of magic, this is your first introduction to some kind of magic system, you can still pretty much figure it out. Now I do expect eventually, probably volume 2, that it will get explained more, but for now it's fine. So one very unique thing, if it's been done in something else, I haven't seen it. The characters with magic, they have like these magic scars or some kind of thing that appears on them where they're using the magic. I guess it's to gauge their like magic power, or how much mana magicka they have. They never really give a name for it. But yeah, a very unique thing to have some kind of like magical clothing appear and whatever. You can see it on Ren right around him. His is kind of small, but yeah, I'm interested to see where this is going to go. It's also is where I expect the name to come from, A Tapestry Ablaze, because the main character, Ren, who I'll get into in a minute, his is like, he has kind of like fire magic. I guess it's to be more of like, his is a tapestry or some kind of fabric clothing on him, and it gets on fire. I guess that's where it comes. It could have a deeper meaning that comes into play later. The whole thing is about him kind of overcoming and growing, and that could be, setting ablaze expectations that are of him and overcoming that. But let me actually get into introducing the characters and the story. So, I mentioned before, Ren, the main character, he lives with his cousin Macy, or Margaret Dove, and then his uncle and aunt, John and Catherine Dove. And in this world, him and his cousin have been training together with his uncle, and eventually, even though Ren is a slacker, Macy's really into it. Ren has this idea that he's, a lot tougher and a lot better than he is. Of course, he's a teenager. Everyone pretty much thinks they're better than they actually are, no matter how much they suck off. I really relate to Ren, because I'm kind of like that. Honestly, I'm not all that, but I think I am. I'm pretty much just as lazy as Ren, only doing stuff when I feel like it, but he really thinks a lot of himself. Yeah, have some confidence. Sure. Eventually, though, they get an invitation to attend Huntington's Slayer College. Their legacies, their uncle went. Ren's dad never was able to, but his mom eventually apparently did. And they don't go too much into Ren's parents, just a brief mentions when it needs to be said. But yeah, dad never went, mom did, not much depth into that besides that. But apparently his Uncle John, big name, really famous, popular in the Slayers community. And Ren really wants to go, kind of following his uncle's footsteps. So does his cousin. His uncle, not too thrilled about it. Doesn't really want him to go. Doesn't want either of them to say, take another year, do it. He believes, of course, his own daughter can go. But understandably, he doesn't think Ren's ready. So this is where the main story, the main plot of it comes in. Ren decides, okay, you don't want me to go, you're not going to let me go. I'm going to go on a road trip. I'm going to get there myself. He's like, I'm going to go take a week, almost a week, to get there. I can do this on my own. I'll prove to everyone. That's what this whole moral plot of the story is. Ren growing and doing this himself, proving that he can do this. And he grows a lot along the way. But he sets out pretty much very ill prepared. He pretty much goes with a bunch of rope. He's really into knots and rope for some reason. I don't know if that's going to come into play a lot later. And his magic, which is just a little bit of fire magic. That up to this point hasn't really been shown more than to, be a ladder. So, yeah, it's interesting to see what he thinks he can do. But that's mainly what it is. It's him going through these towns, but it's also a show about his growth. In this, even less than a week, I think, he does grow a lot. I think he comes to understand that, yeah, he was not ready for this at all. But he tried, he grew, he had some experiences, he met some people, and you get to see this progression of a whole bunch of things I feel like are kind of symbolizing this growth. He starts in his small little town, and each town he goes to gets bigger and bigger. He was meeting people that kind of clue him in more and helping him out, and he kind of realizes he needed this help. But he does eventually get there. Now, one interesting thing that I really like, I am a sucker for like road trip things. So I was already really into it to see that this story is pretty much just mainly his trip there. The book is mainly three parts. The introduction to him with his family. Then most of it is this actual trip. And then the very end is the placement exam for the college. I would have been completely fine if the whole book would just been the road trip. That's it. Just the his little trip there, his journey to the school. It was so cool. But like I said, I'm a sucker for it. But I think the pacing is really well done. The fact that most of it is this trip and it's entertaining and it keeps you engaged, really cool. Even if it's only a few days. And then I would have been completely okay with a second volume of just the placement exam. A lot of the stuff that's in the placement exam is really cool. It is done pretty quickly, which is okay. It doesn't have to be drawn out. I'm the type of person that would be okay if it was drawn out. Make a whole event out of it. There's 6 tests I think that was in it. Easily. A chapter per test could easily be done. That would have been cool. But like I said, I'm one for very slow pacing. So I like going in depth for each scene, each moment. A lot of description and stuff. So that's just me. I'm also fine with how it ends. I think this whole pacing, it pretty much leads up until he enters the college. He gets through his placement exam. Awesome. But, I don't know how much I can just rave about how surprisingly delightful it is. Not because I expect it to be bad. It's just, you find books and you just don't know how much you're going to enjoy it. And that's more I can say. Last thing I want to mention is the art. And by Siasha Rain. I think it's called Siasha. Maybe just Sasha. I don't know. Anyway, it's interesting dynamic in art. I like all the art, but if you look at the cover, there's kind of a darker, grimmer mood. and that fits the plot of his trip. But throughout, it kind of switches back and forth, and then you have like little cute, like chibi-esque, that cute little Ren on the back, and you also have these just heartwarming, like kind of mood art styles, and it's a nice dynamic between the two, having some variability in it, and yeah, it's just like, and whenever he's alone, there's like this kind of darker to it, and then anytime you see him, especially interacting with his cousin in the illustration, there's kind of a like nicer, happier, heartfelt mood to it. So I really like that kind of dynamic in the art. But that's also going to be it for this review before I just pretty much give away everything, because I want to. But let me know your thought. Have you read A Tapestry Ablaze yet? Did you enjoy it as much as I have? Are you looking forward to the second volume as much as I am? Because I sure am. But yeah, go ahead and let me know. But that's it for this Otaku News Reviews. Leave your comments in the comments of anything you're thinking about. And if you like this guy, give it a like. If you want to see more of my reviews, other Otaku News stuff, guys, subscribe. You can see, hear, do whatever when I do that. But until next time, I'm the AC. Thank you, and bye.